Hello everyone. I saw the Rise of Skywalker yesterday and I wanted to give some feedback to what I thought. Now there will be a lot of spoilers in this, but just to start off with, I'll say I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, which is the same thing I gave The Last Jedi. I think that fans will probably like it better than The Last Jedi, just in terms of some of the fan-related things that occur, but I think they'll still have some issues with it, and I certainly did. And I'll go into details now. So now I am going to go into spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happened, if you haven't seen it yet, then please turn off now. Yeah, I thought it started fairly well with Rey training in the forest under Leia, which I thought was a really cool idea, that that Leia was training Rey. And I liked the fact that they had the foreshadowing of her trying to talk to the Jedis but couldn't, and that certainly paid off later on. And then I thought the quests, if you can call them that, this time had more relevance to the overall plot, although it's still kind of a pain that they're looking for something again. So they're searching for the place where the Emperor is alleged to be. But it was a more interesting thing to look for. And I liked Kylo Ren's visit to the Emperor's cave, or whatever they called it. The word exegesis springs to mind. I know it's not that, but it was something that started with E, the place where it was. But so I liked that. I liked the fact too that the Emperor seemed quite dead, which was nice to know that he hadn't done sort of a Darth Maul and come back, even though he was, effectively killed. He looked pretty still deceased, and that was interesting actually. I kind of liked that. And going further into the story, I liked what they did, certainly in the first half, and I had thought ever since the first trailer was out and they had made clear that the Emperor was coming back, I had started to think, okay, is there a Rey connection? Is she a Palpatine? So when she shot the lightning at the ship that was apparently taking Chewie, as far as they knew, I thought, okay, that's a foregone conclusion then. She's a Palpatine. She wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have put that in. Now, I do have some questions about that, because that's supposed to be a dark force thing, not necessarily specifically Palpatine thing. Although I think he's the only one, certainly in the 9 movies of the trilogy, of the 3 trilogies, who has done that. But I had the feeling that that was a dark force thing. So the fact that she could do it at that point, was she drawing on dark energy, or was it just to show that she was related to Palpatine? So that was good. And I liked the fact that they took from The Last Jedi, when her family was no one, and subverted that by sort of saying, well, they became no one because they were trying to avoid the Emperor, stop him getting his hands on Rey. So I liked that, and I liked her reluctance to own that as well. So I thought that was good. I liked what Poe and Finn were doing this time too. I liked that we got to see find a bit more about Poe's life prior to joining the Resistance. However, I thought it was very, probably not surprisingly, Han Solo-like. He was a spice runner, might not be exactly a smuggler, but it's quite close. But I think it was Zuri, her name was, the woman who was there. I liked her character. I thought she was cool, and I liked the fact that Finn met up with some other stormtroopers that had also rebelled, and I liked the fact of that connection too. What was he going to say to Rey when they were sinking in the sand? Probably "I love you," and possibly "I think I've got force abilities," because it's quite clear throughout the movie that he does have some kind, he can sense things. So is he a force sensitive? I think highly likely. How much so? I don't know. Is that what made him rebel in the first place? Possibly. Does that mean that all the other stormtroopers who rebelled also have force capabilities? Maybe. Maybe there can be a new group of Jedi. I don't know. But yeah, certainly up to that point, that was good. And Leia's death was no surprise, because given that Carrie Fisher had passed away and they had limited footage, I expected them to cover her dying. What was difficult for me to deal with was seeing Chewie's reaction to her death. That really choked me up, because she's the last of, they'd been the foursome in the original movie A New Hope, and now everyone else is gone and it's just him. So I was quite broken up by his reaction to news of her death. And then, of course, just after that, you had the big fight between Rey and Kylo Ren, which I loved. I thought that was a brilliant battle. And, of course, then you had Kylo there alone. You hear the voice behind him. I didn't know who it was at first. I thought maybe Luke, maybe Hayden Christensen playing Anakin, which I thought would make sense. But turning around and seeing Harrison Ford there, I just cried. So that was a lovely moment, and probably the only thing that was completely unexpected for me about this movie. I think everything else was more or less predictable, but that one was completely out of left field, and I'm very glad that I didn't know about that beforehand. So hopefully you're not watching it if you haven't seen it, because it's just been spoiled for you, because that was an amazing moment, and I was so pleased to see him. Anyway, after that, things got a little muddy, because you had Rey going to finding where the Emperor was and going there to try and stop him, and it was quite silly, in all honesty. And the way they did things then with her, I liked the fact that she's willing to sacrifice herself by going to becoming a Sith Lord, effectively, to save everybody. That seemed very much in tune with her character too. So I liked that idea. I also liked the fact that she didn't have to do it. I found too the earlier area where she is able to heal people. I thought, oh, people are going to have a real problem with that because it's a power you haven't seen before, but they do talk about it later being part of the bond she has with Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, as we should probably call him by that point. So is that what caused that? Does that mean that they bonded in Last Jedi? Clearly they did to some extent. Oh, by the way, too, when Rey was revealed as a Palpatine, I can remember a lot of people in the audience at the cinema going, so that was really cool. But yeah, they gasped a lot at that point, and I think that will please a lot of people. But the end, it was just, I mean, them coming, I liked the fact that she was able to give Kylo Ren the lightsaber through their connection that they have. He wasn't actually present, but suddenly I thought that was really cool. But then, you know, he dies, and she nearly dies, or they both, Kylo and Rey, effectively seem dead, and the Emperor is killed as a result of what happens there, and then Kylo Ren comes back, brings her back to life, they kiss, and then he just vanishes, and it's like, seriously? Now, I had no objection to Reylo. I know a lot of people didn't particularly like the idea of the two of them getting together. I'm a romantic, so I was all for that from the start. I didn't know if they would go there. I kind of hoped they would, but I thought it was majorly disappointing that they look at each other, kiss, and then he just disappears. And now what happened? Presumably he gave the last of his life force or something to save her, but other than that, it's like he just left. And it's just like, seriously, and it's exactly the same thing they did with Luke at the end of Last Jedi. And I hated it then, and I hated it now. I thought it was really, really stupid. And up to the last moment when she visited Luke's old place on Tatooine, which also kind of choked me up. Just seeing the set there was very emotional. I kind of hoped he was actually going to be there, and being you know, because obviously he couldn't be there for the celebration because he's the bad guy. Yeah, I almost hoped he would be there so they could be reunited. And it's just like, even if they didn't get together, it's just like, okay, I've decided to live a simpler life and just be here. And then she could still have had the big moment where she said she's a Skywalker, which was great too. Now, a couple of other things. Just to finish that off. So that really didn't gel with me, that ending. And the worst thing you can have in a movie is a bad ending, because it means people go out and that's what they think about. But earlier things, I loved it. I loved it when Rey was defeating the Emperor, the fact that she drew on other Jedi powers and that you heard their voices. You heard Qui-Gon Jinn, you heard Obi-Wan, you heard Yoda, you heard Mace Windu, you heard a lot of the other Jedis, Luke and Leia. I think it was both Luke and Leia were there. So you heard all them as well, and I thought that was fantastic. So I really liked that, and I liked that was how she killed the Emperor, or how he was destroyed, whether it was by her or not, or by all the Jedi supporting her. That was really good. But then they had to sort of go muck it up with the Kylo Ren thing, which just seemed stupid. Another thing I liked, which I just remembered too, I liked the fact that Hux was revealed as the mole. because I thought that that was so fitting for his character, because I could really buy, especially after the events of Last Jedi, that all he wants is for Kylo Ren to lose. That so fit who he was. Although I thought it was a shame that shortly after that they killed him off, but not all that surprising either, and he served his purpose, I think, as a character. So so that was probably not surprising either. And I was glad, because I kind of like him in sort of a sadistic kind of way, because I like to see him get punished, because I don't know why, maybe that's just wrong, but it was interesting being a Weasley kind of, ironically, a Weasley kind of character, and having that kind of experience, and then then becoming a mole, only to be immediately identified as one and killed. I liked Richard E. Grant's character as well, but he seemed to be just there as the possible mole, and introduced as that, to sort of distract from Hux's likelihood. And I wasn't sure if it wasn't him for a while there. I thought it could have been either him or Hux. I thought it could go either way. And I'm glad in that sense that they went the fun way and had it being Hux, not the other one, whose name I can't remember. I'm really not good with names. Anyway, I think that pretty much says it. So 3 out of 5 for me. There were a lot of high moments I felt that fans love, like Harrison Ford showing up, having the voices of the other Jedi, Luke coming in there and giving Rey advice, pulling his X-Wing out of the river, the water for her. As soon as she burnt her TIE fighter, or Kylo Ren's TIE fighter, I thought Luke is going to give her his X-Wing. And I got emotional just seeing it come out of the water, with the music that Yoda had used to get his X-Wing out of the swamp on Dagobah in Empire Strikes Back. There are a lot of musical cues like that, like when Rey first went into the Death Star, into the throne room. The music they were playing was the music from when Luke took Darth Vader's helmet off at the end of Return of the Jedi, and that actually made me quite choky too. So yeah, there were a lot of nice things, but I don't think they stuck the landing, which is a real shame. But yeah, still, it's an enjoyable movie. I'll get it on DVD, and I hope you enjoy it too. Maybe you liked it better, maybe you hated it. If you want to let me know in the comments, that'd be great. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully there'll be still a lot more Star Wars stuff come out, even if they've finished the 3 trilogies. So thanks for watching. Bye.